Ay. Otra vez. Come here. Let me tell you something. I remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, those precious memories, a city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. Yeah. She remembers me.
Welcome to the Tampa Natives Show. Stay tuned now for the fastest 60 minutes in cable broadcast history. Live from the studios at TVCN, the home of the Tampa Native Show. Join your host, Mario Nunez, as he celebrates growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue. Get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, your host, Mario Nunez.
She remembers me.
Hi, Tampa Native Show fans. Welcome back to this, your Thursday night, 7 o'clock edition of the Tampa Native Show. And we've got something special in store for you tonight. Dr. Bill Geyer, Dr. Bill to the World, will be joining us in just a few minutes. We'll be talking about him growing up in Tampa, being born at the old St. Joseph's Hospital, being a class of 1974 alumni, Hillsborough High School, class president, I might add. And of course, my own personal dentist, my family's dentist for the last 16 years. He's had a wonderful career as a dentist. He's worked with Dr. Preety here for many, many years, Dr. Hernandez currently. But I think what maybe people don't know about Dr. Geyer that makes him even more special to all of us is that he does a lot of work with Lowry Park Zoo and Busch Gardens. Whenever they call him, he drops what he's doing and gets over there and helps the animals in need. And we've got some fascinating pictures tonight to show you. So, if you haven't seen the show before, you're in for a special treat. If you're one of our regular viewers, let me ask a favor of you. Stop what you're doing right now. Better yet, just pick up your cell phone. Don't stop what you're doing. Just continue what you're doing as you're picking up your cell phone and call one of your friends and let them know, hey, if you haven't seen the Tampa Native Show before, tonight's your night. So tune in. Remember, it's channel 30 on Verizon. It's channel 639 on Bright House. And for the two people out in Plant City, it's channel 20 on Comcast. If you're watching us from anywhere in the world, you can go to our website, tampanativeshow.com. Remind them if they're out of the city or out of Hillsborough County, out of the state. Tampanativeshow.com, and right in the middle of the page there, you're going to see a link that says click here to watch us online now. Got a great show lined up for you. Let me tell you a little bit about last week's show. It's going to follow immediately tonight at 8 o'clock. And I'll give you the channels as we get close to the end of the show. Jack Espinosa was with us last week. He's got a brand new book that just came out. It's called Saca Fiesta. For those of you in West Tampa and Ybor City, you know this term full well. It means sort of like party animal, I guess you'd say. It's Jack's second book. It's a fabulous recollection of stories. It's his memoir, version 2. He's going to be this Saturday at West Tampa Sandwich Shop. Just a reminder, if you'd like to go see him, pick up a book, have him sign it for you. West Tampa Sandwich Shop, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Don't be late. And everybody knows where West Tampa Sandwich Shop is. It's right there on Armenia, just south of Tampa Bay Boulevard. Let me also mention real quick that Cuckoo Cuckoo, our favorite band, wow. Talk about Tampa natives there. You've got Rodney Justo, Robin Sibukow, Roy Garcia, Roger Stefan, and of course, Danny George, their bass player. They're going to be performing this Saturday night, 8 o'clock, showtime, 8 o'clock. I want to say 8 o'clock. If you're out there watching, Larry, you can call in and correct me. It's going to be at Post 111, right there, American Legion Post 111, Florida Avenue, just north of Sly, right there, Florida and Sly. Cuckoo Cuckoo, Saturday, do not be late. When we take your phone calls in a little while, don't forget, Because last week we didn't get a chance to. Jack didn't get us a chance. Jack didn't take a breath. We didn't get a word in edgewise. So we didn't take any calls. This week we're going to take your calls, and one lucky winner is going to win an I Remember Tampa t-shirt. Remember how it works. You tell us your story. You give us a quick question for Dr. Bill. We'll take your number, and Dr. Bill hopefully will draw your number at the end of the show. For those of you that can see this at home, yes, I'm making a feeble attempt here to grow a Christmas beard. I don't know why, but beards are in now. And if it comes in like this thing down here, I'm probably going to shave it off real quickly, but maybe not. I just thought it would fit in with tonight's show, as tonight's show is going to be wild and woolly. So here we go. Bear with me. Hopefully by the time we come back after Thanksgiving, I'll have something representative to show you in the form of a beard. Next week's show, I should say it up front, is Thursday night, right? Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday. And we've never been able to do a show on a Thursday since we went to Thursday, which is 5 years now. So we're going to replay a show that we had 2 years ago, Thanksgiving in Tampa. It's a pretty fun show. I watched it the other night. Recollections of growing up in Tampa, and we had our callers calling in and sharing their own personal stories of going to their grandmother's house, their aunt's house, and what it was like growing up in Tampa during those special decades of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, when the holidays meant so much more to us, or just so it seemed. But tune in next week. Don't change your habits. I know that there's football games on, and you're going to have that turkey malaise thing with the tryptophan and whatever else is happening there, laying and sleeping on the couch. Just turn the Tampa Native Show on the background, and you can drift off to sleep comfortably. All right, our phone number in just a few minutes, we'll give you that. If you'd like to send us an email, goodtimes@tampanativeshow.com. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is TPA Natives Show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this moment and introduce to you our guest tonight, Dr. William Geyer, Dr. Bill Geyer, Tampa native. Again, like I mentioned, Hillsborough High School graduate, class of 1974. He'll tell you himself, go Big Red. Proud Tampa native. He's been working in dentistry now since, well, probably more than 25 years. Right, Doc?
35.
35 years, okay? 35 years. Can you imagine 35 years of being in people's mouths? I can't. But I'm so happy that he's my own personal dentist, because he's a good one. He's a great one. Bring up that two-shot back. Here he is, Dr. Bill.
Thank you, Mario.
I can't tell you, listen, for those that have been following the show for any length of time, we've been hammering this guy for probably 2.5, 3 years. Doc, when are you going to come on the show? When are you going to come on the show? Finally, we got him, and he's here with us tonight. So happy that you're here. We know that you've been in Texas the last few days.
Yes.
With your pop. Tell everybody who's watching how your dad's doing. He's been having some health challenges, but...
thank you so much. First, let me thank you for asking me on the show
Come on.
so many times, because I didn't accept it for most of the times, but you were persistent, and thank you so much. It is an honor and a privilege, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking about my dad. He had some surgery unexpectedly earlier this week. He moved from intensive care to his regular room today, so life is good and he is doing well. Thank you so much for asking.
Of course. We're a big family here. You know how this works. I can say that, we grew up, we're only 2 years apart. You were class of 74 Hillsborough, I was class of 76 Jefferson, and we won't hold it against each other. That's how it worked out with the neighborhoods that we lived in. But didn't we grow up in a special time here in Tampa, Dr. Bill?
Well, the difference is when we grew up, everyone we knew was from here. Mm-hmm. We didn't know anyone who wasn't from here, and the extent of our town was Bush Boulevard. University of South Florida was way out when we were kids, and now, it's Tampa's geographically spread out, but the culture, the community of the people who were born and raised here is still very nuclear and very tight. I'm from Tampa. It used to be you weren't surprised to meet someone from Tampa. Now it's, whoa, you're from Tampa. It's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. Back when Tampa Bay Center was all the rage in the middle 70s, it wasn't uncommon to find yourself at the mall and be able to peer over the railing on the second floor and just literally know everybody within sight.
Well, absolutely.
Know everybody. There's
Absolutely.
Tampa Catholic's little cluster over there. There's Hillsborough. There's Jefferson. And it's just become so estranged now. Our little city has grown in ways that I'm not comfortable with.
It's still a small town. It's just spread out now.
Okay.
Still a small town.
It is.
Just because of the people who were born here and raised here. We kind of keep it nuclear.
To ourselves.
Yeah, keep it nuclear.
Nobody circles the wagons better than Tampeños.
See.
Okay? Nobody circles the wagons better than Tampeños. So when you were at Hillsborough, Before that, you mentioned Memorial Junior High School, and before that, it was Broward Elementary School. And before that?
I was in the first grade class at the Boys Academy of the Holy Names. That school no longer exists because the academy was the all-girls school on Bayshore.
Sure.
The Boys Academy was on McDill. And my claim to fame from that class is when President John F. Kennedy visited Tampa in November of 1963.
Yesterday.
Immediately before his assassination, he landed at McDill, and he was greeted by the entire Boys Academy of the Holy Names in our white dress pants, our navy blue blazers, and our blue bow ties.
Please tell me you have a picture of that somewhere.
There is an archive picture of it, and I saw it recently, and as I explained to you, my limitations on accesses of this week, but I have seen a picture of us with our nuns, of Sisters of the Holy Names in full black and white habit, standing behind us, making sure that we were properly standing at attention.
How very cool is that? So, I sense, my spider senses are telling me here that there may just be a part 2 to this show, ladies and gentlemen, because there are some fascinating photographs that, due to the fact that Dr. Bill had to go to Texas to be with his pop, he was unable to reach for us. But we'll get you back on the show because those pictures are way too important not to share with everyone. So, Broward Elementary School, Memorial Junior High, were you like most of us that grew up here, did you have pals that were pals of yours from 1st to 12th grade?
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of those childhood friends are still my patients.
Of course.
And it thrills and amuses my staff when they come in because they call me by the name that everyone knew me as a kid.
Hit it.
Billy.
Billy the Kid.
So when my childhood friends come in, they still refer to me as Billy, and boy does it get those ladies who work for me, they love it. But we grew up in a neighborhood where you walked everything. I will live within 3 blocks of my elementary school, 6 blocks of my junior high school, and 6 blocks of my high school. You walked everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And we were just neighborhood kids.
Sure.
Seminole Heights kids.
Sure.
And everybody, you knew everybody. And I have gone on my soapbox and said that what ruined Florida, truthfully, was air conditioning, because before we had air conditioning, window open, sat on your front porch. And now we push our button, we open our garage door, we go in, we close the door, the air conditioning keeps us insular. So everyone, not only did I know everyone in my neighborhood, they knew me too.
Sure.
So if you were cutting the fool, not only did they catch you, they told your mom. And that's how it was. But that was just growing up in those neighborhoods.
6-foot privacy fences today have destroyed what the 4-foot chain link fence made enduring. Because, you know, when we were standing in the backyard holding that bag of clothespins, you could look across the fence and see that your partner that you're usually riding bikes with was doing the same thing.
Oh, exactly. You know, and they knew who you were, and they knew who to tell your mom, and after they disciplined you, they would tell your mom so she would discipline you.
It took a village. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and in Tampa, the village did raise the child.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that we were better adults for the most part as a result of that.
Oh, sure. You know, we just grew up differently, and if you left home in the morning, on a summer morning, as long as you were home by dinner, no one looked for you until then. Now, if you're out of your front yard, unfortunately, it terrifies people.
And how great was it the day that you got your first bicycle? Man, because all of a sudden you could go further than you could ever go on foot.
Oh, and you know, in the rite of passage when I was a kid, and you know, my mother, God rest her soul, doesn't know it, we used to swim in the river, which was foreboding. You never swam in the river.
Woo, without earplugs. Go on, Doc. That's crazy, because you got gators in there too, man. Moccasins.
And sewage treatment was not what it is today.
Oh, Doc, now come on. I didn't bring no handy wipes with me here today, but I get your point. Your point is taken. Your point. But again, we were baptized in the Hillsborough River.
Oh, absolutely.
If you didn't get some functified stuff coming out of that river by then, you know, you knew you were going to be okay.
Builds your immune system that way.
So, okay, then you graduated. But you had the unique experience also. You mentioned your mom just a moment ago.
Yes.
Your mom was a teacher at Hillsborough High School.
My mother taught at Hillsborough High School. If you really want to have your someone keep your inventory, go to high school where your folks teach or your parents teach. And so, but it was wonderful because I never had her as a teacher, but she was there at the school.
Comforting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she was there for 20 years. She taught at Hillsborough High School.
Great source of pride too.
Yes.
You know, mom taught at Hillsborough, which was one of the big three, right? You had
Big three,
Hillsborough,
yeah.
Plant, and Jefferson.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned Thanksgiving Day about traditions in Tampa.
Turkey
The
Day
class
game?
of '74 was the last Turkey Day game where Plant played Hillsborough
On
in Tampa
Thanksgiving.
on Thanksgiving Day in Tampa Stadium. 1973 was the last game. We ended that
Your
tradition.
senior year,
Our
that's
senior
right.
year ended that tradition.
And that was a great tradition.
Oh, absolutely.
My older brother participated in it in 67 and 68, fall of 67, fall of 68, and it was a huge deal. And before Tampa Stadium, of course, it was at Phillips Field. But again, that's when Tampa was Tampa. Okay. So you graduate from high school, graduated with honors. Come on, man.
Yes, I was class
Did we
president.
expect anything less?
Well, and the other thing I found out is when you're the class president, they don't tell you that that is a lifetime elected office. It's reunions, everything that comes up, they call the class president. Attendance required, class president. But it was great. From there, I went to University of Florida, did my undergraduate work there, and I graduated from University of Florida and moved to Atlanta, went to Emory University School of Dentistry, and returned back to this area in 1982. It was coming home.
Yes, sir.
Coming home.
Yes, sir. You knew you were going to come home.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
you know, this is because my family was here, my in-laws were here, my wife is third generation.
Here we go.
Third generation native Tampan.
That's nice. We'll talk about that too. Let's talk about that history. Give me a little side story on that real quick.
My wife's family has a building in Ybor City with the name Spoto on it. My wife is of the Spoto family. Her grandfather, Dr. John Spoto,
say no more,
was the dentist in Ybor City who convinced me to not go to medical school and go to dental school.
Say no more.
So.
The Spotos were well known in Tampa. I think all of the Spotos were dentists for the most part.
Physicians, or
right.
So they were a very prominent family in Ybor City, and just a great historical family for Tampa.
Okay, so there is a second show in the making. We just determined that as an executive producer of the Tampa Native Show. I just made that call. All right, at a quarter past the show, so we've got 24, I think, images that we need to show tonight, and we don't want to shortchange anybody here because, like I said, when I was selecting the pictures, I had to pare it down to 24. We'll get to those in just a second. So let's continue the story then. So you were married when you came back to start your practice?
Yes.
Children came shortly thereafter?
My oldest child, my daughter Lauren, was born my last year of dental school, and we moved.
Shout out to Lauren. Where's she at right now?
Lauren is here in Tampa. Lauren is.
She watching tonight?
I would hope so.
All right, Lauren.
Lauren works here in Tampa. My daughter Leslie, my youngest daughter, lives here in Tampa. She is the proud owner of the Pink Petticoat Lingerie Boutique on South Dale Mabry, and she is currently the social media coordinator for Moffitt Cancer Center.
Wow, she's got her hands full.
And my son James is living in Los Angeles. He's a freelance cinematographer in California.
All right, James. Well, we hope James is watching, and if he is, it's about 4:15 over there, so he's not quite through his work day, but hopefully he's got his little his iPhone, and he can
as he refers to
device.
his devices.
Yeah, his devices.
My device.
Yeah, hopefully he's got his mini pad out and he's watching us right now, and hopefully all of these guys will give us a chance to hear their voices if they can call in just a little bit when we ask for phone calls. Dentistry was something that, again, you were kind of coerced into going leaning towards, right?
You know, like everyone who goes to college, they want to go to become medical doctors.
Okay.
And that was my goal, and that was my decision. And in being introduced to dentistry was through my wife's grandfather, Dr. John Spoto. And to this day, I have never known a dentist who was more proud of his profession than Dr. Spoto. He was enormously proud of being a dentist, and he said, "You should go to dental school. You would be a good dentist." And in my mind, I thought, there is no way I'm going to dental school. But out of courtesy to him, I applied.
Respect, much respect.
And I took the opportunity at that time to work as a volunteer in the dental school at University of Florida. And after working as a volunteer at the dental school, I came to a very astute understanding that the dental students in general were pretty pleasant, happy people. The medical students were not.
So even early on, you figured that out.
And I figured it out then, and so I decided, let's go to dental school, and the rest is, as I say, history. Well, I can say from personal experience, because the man has been my personal dentist since we moved back to town in 99, 2000. Gentle, no pain whatsoever, completely professional and thorough and excellent at his craft. So, you know, it's like everything else. You take a great deal of pride and attention to what the care and the love you give to your patients. And that's why we keep going back. You know, it's like when we go to see our chiropractor, you know, it's as much to go see you, as much to go see him, as much to experience the love in the office because the staff is all wonderful. You've had these people with you forever and ever and ever. It is a privilege to take care of you and your family and the patients I have. And probably the most important part is that I make no bones about it. There are probably people who are better dentists than I am, but in my practice, no one cares more than we do. We care. And I have a wonderful, wonderful staff that I'm blessed and privileged to work with every day. That I have 4 of them been with me over 20 years.
Let's show that picture, Becky.
And my new girl has only been with me 12.
Oh, that's the new girl. You want to go ahead and give the names left to right and bottom row, top row?
Well, from seated is Lori Mincy. She is a Hillsborough High School graduate. April Durlack. Trish Dwyer. Going up behind Trish is, from left to right, we'll go Candy Johnson. We have Dr. Leslie Hernandez, Anthony Cagno, Stephanie Ayers, and Becky Huesca.
There it is.
We have a Jefferson graduate, we have a Gaither graduate, we have a Plant graduate, we have a Chamberlain graduate. So they're all
a lot of Tampa history right there.
All local people.
Becky went to school with me at Jefferson.
Yeah, they're all local people.
And again, I think that Dr. Bill, had you gone into conventional medicine, whatever field you might have chosen, gravitated towards, the fact that you are who you are would have made you a great doctor anyway.
But dentistry has given me the opportunity to have personal relationships with the people, because there's a lot of downtime we sit and just talk.
Yeah, we always look forward to that every time. And what's amazing is that Doc remembers, and so the conversation, because you only go to your dentist every 6 months unless you have a situation, if you need to. But and we do responsibly, dutifully. But we'll get to those pictures, the magical pictures, in just a minute with the animals. But I got to say this real quick. Dentistry, healthy mouth, is important because as you get older, sometimes it can be a barometer. It could be a healthy mouth, healthy system, healthy
Absolutely,
body.
yes.
So that's almost like the first line, right? I mean, you're looking inside somebody's mouth with those spectacular spectacles that it's like you can see
into the future.
You can see it
into the future,
deep into your soul. If you're not flossing, the man knows.
We know what you had for lunch, breakfast, and dinner.
So I'm thinking that dentistry really is something that is a first line of protection.
Well, it's an opportunity for a patient to share with them, how are you? What is new with you? And we do more than just our focus is on their oral health, but they come attached to their teeth, so we have to talk about who comes with those teeth.
Right.
And we talk to them, and we were wonderfully skilled in diagnosing oral facial cancers and sending people, get them to the dermatologist. We look at a lot of faces. Now, if you have an ingrown toenail, I may not see it, but if you've got something on your face, we have a good shot of picking it up.
Right.
And so, and we get people to talk to us, and we can see if there's so many things that manifest themselves in their mouth first, then we just get them properly to the doctors. And we have great ENTs we work with, great dermatology, just because it's in the area that we're specializing.
And you do a great job at it. Okay, take a breath. It's 20 after the hour. I want to start easing you into the transition of how did your association with the animal? How did you become?
How did I become Dr. Doolittle?
There it is. How did you learn to talk to the animals?
Well, let me first say, I'm going to go right quick. I am a people dentist.
Yes.
I am a dentist for people. And my exposure to veterinary dentistry was as an invitation from a veterinarian, as is all the animals I work on. I always work with veterinarians. And these people humble me every time I work with them, because I work on one species every day. They work on dozens of species every day. And so it is humbling to see the care that these animals are receiving, and I just to be a part of it. So to be a part of the team is just fantastic. And what I do professionally with my patients is rewarding to a degree it's hard to articulate, but it doesn't have a lot of cool factor. But when you work on a hippo, it is all cool factor.
It's all cool.
All cool factor. There is no downside to working on a hippo.
I think that both the veterinary medicine practice and, of course, the veterinary dentistry, it's all part of the family of veterinary care, has become so cool. And, of course, we talked about it prior to going on the air. Cable television has to fill airtime. That there are now 3 and 4 different veterinary doctor shows where they follow the doctor around, and they've got the guy that's Dr. Pohl, I think his name is, and he goes around and he's got his arm and doing the things that you go like, wow, I didn't know that they did that. So, and working with animals got to be rewarding too, because animals are unlike humans. They can't really tell you. You have a sense of what's going on with them, but you've got to go in there and see it, diagnose it, fix it.
And the best part of working with animals is they don't call me at home afterwards. That's the best part. But you asked me a question, and I kind of sidetracked it. You asked me how to got into it.
Yeah, how did
it started 30 years ago and this is part of being in dentistry and organized dentistry, is Lowry Park Zoo. This is prior to the current Lowry Park Zoo, had one of their tigers.
Our Lowry Park Zoo?
Our Lowry broke a tooth, and they called the local dental association seeking a dentist. And for whatever reason, the dental society said, oh, you need to call Dr. Geyer. Call Dr. Geyer. He's the one to talk to. So they called me and they said, we were told to call you. We have a patient we'd like you to look at. And I said, well, absolutely. And they said, well, how much will this cost? I said, well, nothing. Are you kidding me? You know, this is to work on a tiger. And so I went and worked for Lowry Park Zoo on a tiger. This was in 84, 85.
Oh, you gave it up early.
And subsequently they had, you know, I went back and worked on that tiger when he broke his next tooth. I worked on a jaguar for Lowry Park Zoo, a chimpanzee for Lowry Park Zoo, an otter for Lowry Park Zoo. It's because like I said, the veterinarians are like your primary care doctor. They know a phenomenal amount of medicine and surgeries, but dentistry requires special tools and special knowledge, and they just defer it, if they can, to someone who has the tools and the knowledge. And then the staff currently at Lowry Park Zoo, Dr. Ray Ball, I worked with when he was at Busch Gardens, and then subsequently I've worked with the great docs that are at Busch Gardens now, Dr. Mike Burton, Dr. Peter Black, Dr. Dominique Keller, Dr. Maria Spriggs, and they are all so attuned to dental issues. And they call me up, and I quite often will offer, I can show you how to do this. And they said, no, because that means you'll stop coming. I said, all right, you got me there, because I won't.
Isn't that nice? I think what's nice about that too is that when you get the opportunity to be a part of a team like that, you know, it's like anything else with athletics. You know, you play your part. You know, if you're the second baseman, you want to be the best second baseman on the team possible. But then I guess everybody probably exhales a big sigh of relief when they see you come through the door, because they know everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Dr. Bill's here, you know, everything's going to be fine. I don't have to get in there and mess on that tiger's teeth, because, you know.
That's how it works. They're very quick to acquiesce. They said, okay, we're ready for you. Step in.
Yeah, you step into the theater, they step back, and they observe. And rightfully so, because that's more than what you deal with and what they deal with on a daily basis. Shall we show some pictures?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Becky, I don't know what order they're going to come up in, so it'll be just as much fun for me to watch them come up again. But if you'd like to show in full screen the pictures, and then as Dr. Bill starts to describe what we're seeing, perhaps you can go to picture in picture. Wow, we're going to start off with the mother and child.
Well, this is a picture of the mother was my patient. This is Mary. This is one of the gorillas at Busch Gardens, Tampa, and that is her infant daughter, Kamari. When Kamari was born in February, Mary never put her down. Never put her down. Never put her down. And no one got a good chance to look at her. So in order for the veterinary staff at the animal care clinic at Busch Gardens to get a good exam of Kamari, they had to bring Mary in, and we refer to that as a knockdown. So they knocked her down. And while they did their examination on Kamari, I did my work on Mary. Mary got her teeth cleaned, and she had an infected wisdom tooth removed. And that's where we try to clean up the picture a little bit, because no one wants to see a tooth being removed. But she was a good patient, and fortunately she was able to eat right away when we were finished. The animal care clinic at Busch Gardens is a hospital facility that is really second to none. You have an operating theater that you could have human surgery performed in that type of environment. It is really spectacular.
All the care given to the animals, much like it is with humans, as far as the sterile environment and so forth, or is it a little bit different? I don't see anybody dressed in any gowns or anything. They have the gloves on.
Because it was what we were doing on her at that time, and at that time they had brought a team of medical doctors in. I worked on Mary along with Dr. Kathy Lynch, who's OBGYN. She did her end, I did my end, and we had an orthopedic surgeon in there, and we had a pediatric neurologist, all looking at the baby. So what we were doing was not required sterile fields. There was a sterile OR, but what we were doing there did not require sterile fields. And the other part, you've seen that picture, there's a plate glass window on the backside.
So you've got observers.
We have all the people who are guests in the park can watch us do our work.
Oh, how cool is that?
And in all of the overhead lights, there are video cameras that show video screens, so they can watch exactly everything that we're doing at the time we're doing it.
I know our next remote is going to be from Busch Gardens. When Dr. Bill gives us the heads up that he's going to be performing there, then we will go there with our camera and be on the other side of the glass. I think so, yeah. I think that's wonderful. Okay, what do we got? What are we looking at here?
One of the things when I work on these animals, this is a male orangutan horse.
Rangu.
And I always ask the veterinarians, I said, these animals, when they're under general anesthesia, we try to keep it as light as possible, more for their safety than anything else, but I really want them anesthetized.
Yes.
And every animal has a little bit of a tell when they're coming out of the anesthesia, and since my hands are in their mouths, I don't want it to be that they bite down. So when we had Horst in the chair, I asked what the tell was, because I said he was getting a little lip twitch, and they said the tell is he's going to twitch his fingers. So you see that hand there, that is my daughter Leslie's hand. I said, if his fingers twitch, you tell me so I can get my hands out of his mouth. They don't come up, but I don't want to find out what it's like when they come awake.
And
there's
when I saw
Horst.
that picture that you were just describing, what struck me was the amazing size of that hand.
Big scale. That's
Wow.
That's probably the most unique thing about it, because in general, particularly with primates, if you look at it, he's got teeth like you and I have. They're just massively different in scale. And so for us, it's dealing with the scale of the teeth, how big these teeth are. And that was Horst, and he could collapse that little mouth prop like it wasn't there. But he had a couple of bad wisdom teeth, and like most teenagers, they get their wisdom teeth taken out.
Wow.
But at the same time we were doing Horst, as I took out his wisdom teeth, he had a growth on one of his male parts.
Uh-oh.
And as I was working on my end of it, I watched the handlers there taking his fur, braiding his fur, putting it in super glue knots on the end. I said, what are you doing? And they said, well, we don't want him picking at the stitches down where Dr. Pete's removing one of his testicles, and we don't want him reaching up and pulling your stitches out, so we do this so he'll
Have something
play
to
with them. So I said, he is going to have his chest hair in dreadlocks, he's missing teeth, and he lost a testicle. This is a bad Hangover movie plot for poor Horst. But he was up day later chasing ladies, so he never missed a beat.
That's the thing about animals; they heal up really pretty fast.
They don't emotionalize their discomfort. They are stoic.
I love that. Can you repeat that for me, Doc?
They don't emotionalize their discomfort.
I gotta write that down.
They are stoic.
Because the next time I stub my toe, I'm going to try to remember that.
Be stoic.
So I don't get into an argument with my lovely wife. Honey, I'm going to try not to emotionalize my
discomfort.
My discomfort. I love that. All right, let's keep going with the pictures, because there's so much more. This is the cool factor you were talking about,
cool
Doc.
fact. This is Moyo. I got a text message on a Sunday with a picture that I wasn't sure what I was looking at, and it was Moyo, a male hippo, had a tremendous irritation in his gums, and they thought it was a result of an abscessed tooth. So after I looked at the picture, we called the vets and we talked about what was going on. I said, you have to get him in, and we've kind of cleaned up that picture there for you to see that's where the issue was with his tooth. Moyo's problem is he just doesn't have a good bite. So as he closes, the tusk that's on the top was puncturing his gums.
Oh boy.
And had created a defect in his gum that, because it was such a massive hole in his gums, it had filled up with food and debris, and it was fermenting and digesting inside of his mouth, and it just made him stop eating. So our treatment was to get the tusk on the top to keep it from puncturing the tooth on the bottom. Well, that tusk is as big as your forearm to your hand. That's how big that tusk is.
Wow.
So you can imagine the inadequate use of a dental drill that would be to fix that. So we ended up having to go a little more industrial on him, and to adjust his teeth, we ended up using a reciprocating saw and a grinder.
Oh no, you didn't.
To get his teeth, and we had to use a forklift to hold his mouth open. What you see, that the strap you see is actually hoisting his mouth open by a forklift, because he is so big. That was where scale comes in.
Doc, you went medieval on him.
We did it as fast as we could. Using the reciprocating saw and the grinder, which was just more efficient and faster to do it than trying to do it.
General anesthesia, of course.
They use a deep sedation for him, because what we did was not going to be dentally stimulating to the point where they'd have pain. Whereas if you take a tooth out, you adjust their teeth, you float their teeth, it's not too bad. But they take the opportunity to do a full workup. They drew labs and
they take advantage while they're down. And hippos, although they're for kids, for young kids, they're kind of, they're hippos, they're fun. They're nasty.
They dance in Fantasia. They eat you in the river.
They eat you in the river, and you know what? More people die in Africa each year from hippo bites than from alligator bites. Talk to me. Come on. This is fascinating.
Well, there's a good scale. There's one of the handler's hand. So you figure the width of 3 fingers is the width of his front teeth.
Wow.
And those are the smallest teeth he has,
Wow.
are the central incisors. Whereas if you go to the right, you can see that big tusk on the side. And if you come to the left of that picture, you can see where the gum's a little more, that's the tusk puncturing the gum.
Yeah, I see it
So
there.
once we cut that out and cleaned out that wound, he was fine the next day. And I get a report on Moyo, and they've asked me to come back, and he will present and open his mouth and let me look at him.
Oh, how neat.
Oh, I think it's, because he doesn't know I'm the one who did his teeth, but
That's what it is. That's what it is. You still got street cred. Oh, he's a nice fellow. Oh, that's the guy? Because if he knows, he might just show you his teeth in a different way. And hippos can run a little bit. You know, they got some mobility. They're great in the water, though. They're great in the water, and they can hold their breath for a good long while.
all I know is that every time I see him, there's something between me and him.
And him, yeah. About 2,000 pounds worth of hippo. Keep them rolling, Beck. Keep them rolling. What are you working on here, Doc?
This is Macaulay. He is a hyena, and he had an abscess tooth. We just did him 2 weeks ago, and I realize now why they called me, because I got a note from one of the vets said, by the way, I won't be there when you come. We break instruments on these animals.
Oh, boy.
The hyena has one of the highest crushing strengths of any land mammal. It's in the neighborhood of like 1,300 pounds of force it can crush. They can crush through giraffe femurs. And so when it comes time to remove an infected tooth, that tooth took a lot of wiggling to get that tooth out of there. And so as I worked on it with the veterinarians maintaining the anesthesia and all the handlers and zookeepers behind me, it took me the better part of 65 minutes to get one tooth out.
Have mercy.
And so I said to them, I'm sorry this has taken so long. And their reply was, wow, we thought you were doing it fast. So that's all in scale. And you see the crew behind me, and that's Macaulay as we're sitting there working on him and getting his infected tooth out, and he was fine the very next day. With people, I can tell you, Mario, if I took a tooth out, don't drink through a straw, don't suck and spit, don't smoke, don't eat anything crunchy. Well, that's
not going to happen with the hyena.
Not eating crunchy is hard. So I have a great aftercare, because they're always asking how long should we keep them on restricted diet? What should we look for? And they just do wonderful, wonderful care of these animals.
And hyenas, we know too, because hyenas, not unlike hippos, can be ferocious.
And they're a lot bigger. He was a lot bigger than I expected. You look at a hyena, it's typically not
They're
a very
big dogs, right?
125-pound dog. Big dog.
With that kind of a bite strength.
Big bite.
Yike. And they're excellent hunters. Why? Because they hunt.
They follow what everyone leaves behind and takes what's left and eat the bones, and that's they're.
Woo-hoo-hoo! So they're not going to miss many meals. No. You're not going to eat that? I'll take it from here.
Yep.
All right. We want to get to some phone calls, but we want to get through these pictures. So stand by if you got a comment or a question you want to ask Dr. Bill. We're going to probably open up the phone lines here in about 5-7 minutes. Beck, let's roll through the rest of the pictures. You bet. I love this guy. This was, I think, maybe my favorite.
She is one of my all-time favorites. I see her regularly. This is Lana. Lana is a lesser bush baby. She weighs 130 grams. She is not as big as your coffee cup, and her mouth, when open, as you can see, is smaller than my thumbnail. And Lana, again, I cannot say enough about the care these animals receive. They noticed she was having problems eating, and they couldn't figure out what her problem was. They weren't sure if she had a neurological issue or what. And I always say, well, look at her teeth. They called me and I said, look at her teeth. And they found out she had just a chronic gum infection because she doesn't brush and floss.
Poor baby.
So they brought her in and we anesthetize her, and she is so small we can't even intubate her. So what we see is we've made a little adapter off the anesthetic gas, and we put it on her nose, and we get her to go down, and we clean her teeth and get all the treat the infection, and she's good for 3 months. So I will see her again this weekend. And when we work on that animal that small, her teeth are the size of 12-point letter I's, New Times Roman print. That's how.
So
small,
you guys go check out your computer. Check out your computer. Go to 12-point font, New Times Roman, letter I, and then you see what the doc's working with.
That's how big her teeth are.
Wow.
And she gets hypothermic very easily, so we have to keep her on what's called a bear hugger. It's a heating pad, and we we keep her dry as we can when we clean her teeth, and it's always a lot of fun to work on Lana because she's just so small. But to clean all her teeth literally takes minutes because they're so close, they're so small that you don't spend a lot of time on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, they're just wonderful.
And
people
lemurs
there.
is it Disney?
Yeah, well, this is the bush baby. The lemurs is the
this is the bush baby. This is the smallest animal you work on.
Right. This is the smallest.
Suffice it to say, a teacup. Yeah.
I do have a lemur coming up. Yeah, she is just she's a sweet little thing, and she's Mrs. Peeper. She's just got these big eyes, and she always comes in with her two who mates because we can't tell them apart till we get them all together. We have to bring all three in so we can see which one she is.
You're not having too much fun, are you?
Well, she has a crooked tail. Oh, I love it. I mean, like I said,
yeah, I can see that.
I will admit this to you. I have canceled humans to go take care of animals.
No, we're not. Listen, nobody's watching tonight, Doc. You don't got to worry about that. Your secret is safe with us. No, a lot of people are watching tonight. All right, next one back.
This is Pooba. Pooba's a Asian river otter, and Pooba had, during his regular checkup, they realized that he had fractured 2 of his teeth and had exposed the pulps. And normally the veterinarians would want to take these teeth out, and I said, well, let's just keep his teeth. We'll do a root canal on them. And so we brought Pooba in, and this was one of the episodes for the Wildlife Docs television show where we took care of Pooba and did a root canal.
I think we have a shot where you can see. There you go. You got the cameraman with the camera right there.
Yep, we did. We took care of 2 teeth with the root canal on Pooba, and subsequently took care of one of his brothers. The Asian river otters are full bore, full gas all the time. They're rough and tumble. They bite on things. They bite on each other, and they can in that environment, break a tooth. But,
sure.
And they do, and I'd rather take care of the tooth than pull the tooth. Anytime I've done a number of root canals from on different animals because I would preserve the teeth better than remove them. Because I can control their diet afterwards. If these bigger animals like hyena, doing a root canal would have been foolhardy because the tooth would have not been salvageable if it broke it.
That's right. That's right. And because of that, again, going back to that bite strength, it's probably just going to be a problem further down the road as well.
Absolutely.
Well, that's pretty good stuff. All right, you know what? We'll open the phone lines now because I do want to get a couple of phone calls in. If you'd like to call us, now would be the time to do it. 813-977-6800, 813-977-6800. We've got our operator standing by. Sal will take your phone call if you'd like to call in now. And if not, we're just going to continue talking until the calls do come in. And if we don't get any calls tonight, I don't want you to feel bad because what happens a lot of times when we have these wonderful, fascinating guests, which you are, people don't want to call. They don't want to take away from time watching, looking at pictures and hearing your stories. So, Becky, we still have some more pictures. We will continue on. The Roo-Roo.
Yes, kangaroos. One of my more regular customers or patients at Busch Gardens Tampa are the kangaroos. They are probably the most unique animal that I treat from a dentition standpoint. It is unlike any other animal I ever treated.
It's a narrow mouth, is it not, Doc?
Narrow,
a little snoot?
It's narrow mouth. It hinges at the center of their chin, so their teeth can move independently. They only have
like
two lower front teeth, and they have 6 upper front teeth. And the kangaroos bounce off a lot of things, and they get a lot of dental injuries from just smacking around. I've done root canals on them. We've done some other debridements of them, but overall, the kangaroos are very, very unique animals. And again, when I'm in there, we try to get as much done to the animal as we can. Besides the teeth, we try to they get full physicals and everything.
Drawing blood, you're drawing
everything.
Sure.
It looks a lot like the Wizard of Oz, where everyone's
when they're putting the straw man back
right.
together and they're working with the lion. Sure, it's comprehensive.
Comprehensive.
You know what it's like too. It's got to be like when you come into the pits, man, and
That's
the crew goes over the wall. You got a guy changing tires. You got a guy wiping the windshield. You got another guy.
Exactly how it is.
There you
because
go.
we want to minimize the amount of time we keep it on anesthesia and the number of times we put it on anesthesia.
Yeah, because
it's rough.
It's risky. It's risky business. It's risky business. Well, we've got a caller on line 4. Can we go to that caller real quick?
Please.
Caller, thank you so much for calling in. You're on the air with the Tampa Native Show. Tell us your name, where you're calling from.
My name is Leslie, and I'm calling from Tampa. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys having fun?
We're
We're
having a
having a
great
blast.
time. Your dad is sharing some of these wonderful animal stories with us. Are you watching at home?
I sure am.
Good. How do we look?
Well, you guys look great.
Good.
Wonderful.
And the pictures? Can you see the pictures good?
Yes.
Good.
Leslie has been my #1 operating room assistant at Busch Gardens. She goes
Leslie
with me
was
a
the
lot.
one that was holding the orangutan's hand?
Yes.
That's a big hand, Leslie, huh?
Yes, it was.
Strong.
And Leslie can tell you about how cool it is to go. It is absolutely.
Well, come on, man. You guys are like celebrities when you walk in and out of there, too, Hey, the doc's here. Hey, and he brought his assistant, too. Well, that's great. We're glad you called tonight. Anything that you can share with us, something funny that may have happened or in one of the surgeries with the animals that maybe you can share?
Well, I actually called because I have a question.
Yes.
And I wanted to know which of all the animals that you worked on, wild and domestic, which was your favorite?
I would have to say the root canal I did on my grand dog, Marla.
That's the right answer, Dad.
There's the right answer, Dad. Good job.
Leslie's dog, Marley, suffered a dental injury as a result of her eagerness to get out of the back closet at the store.
Oh, wow.
And I got an emergency phone call from Leslie about Marla's tooth, and with the aid of one of my friends who is a veterinarian, we were able to take care of Marla's tooth by doing a root canal. And although she doesn't have the photogenic smile she once had, she's still a lovely little grand dog.
Tail wagging, tail wagging.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that story, Leslie.
No problem. You guys are doing great. Have a fun time.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Hey, give us your Lucky Bolita number, because you know what? Right now, you may be our only winner tonight for a Tampa Natives t-shirt.
I'm going to go with 9.
9 it is. Thank you, Leslie. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's great. I'll put Leslie down for 9. That's wonderful. And because, you know, we don't think about it as often, I guess, but our pets, whether they're cats, dogs, you know, our domestic pets, they can suffer injuries as well.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
They're always
And
chewing on
they-
hard things. And
we don't realize that their teeth required care, and most people take their domestic animals to the veterinarians for tooth cleanings and stuff like that. I have done dentistry on my own vet's dog because the dog suffered a dental injury. It happens.
that's so good. And like with humans, again, sometimes the animals, because they don't floss, because they can't care for their teeth, and even though they get the denture bones and the chew bones that they are supposed to take the tartar and all that good stuff off, sometimes it just builds.
Right.
And you've got to help them, especially as they get older, just like us.
And you can brush your dog's teeth, you can brush your cat. You just got to start very young,
Very
so
young,
they
so they get used to it,
get
yeah.
used to it.
I can't imagine. Oh, okay. I just got a cue in my ear that we got an animal coming up that is my second favorite. Go ahead, Doc. Talk to us.
Okay, this is one of the two-toed sloths that they have at Busch Gardens. They have a number of them. Another pretty interesting animal, because their unique claim in dentistry is they don't have enamel on their teeth. They have 2 different kinds of dentin, but no enamel. So their teeth or wear very quickly, and they can get some issues with those teeth. They usually start by having a diet problem. They stop eating properly, and so I work on a fair number. I believe this one's Teddy. I think Teddy is the one that we worked on.
He looks like a teddy.
Yeah, and we worked on Teddy, and he came in, and we took good care of him, and he ended up having, they thought he had fractured tooth that was going to require a root canal, and he ended up just getting a lot of fillings done that day. He was and their fur is very interesting because they move so slowly and they metabolize so slowly. Nature only calls once a month.
Is that right?
Once a month. They can step in a tree for a month before they have to go to the ground and take care of business.
Wow. What an advantage.
Exactly.
Well, because they move so slowly, they can't really be down there,
And
to,
something would get them.
Something will get them.
So they're the ones you want to go on car trips with.
That's such a, what an advantage.
And,
Nobody wants to be a sloth except for that.
And I'm always, he was one of the ones I went and did a cage call on, where I go to the enclosure where they are, and he'll open his mouth and present for me so I could see his teeth, and you could see what the issue was, and then we bring him in and do the anesthesia on him. And it's always interesting because they move so slow, they have a pulse rate of next to nothing.
Sure.
Whereas with the Bush baby, pulse rate exceeds 300 beats a minute.
It's like a squirrel.
He can't count that fast.
Yeah.
Can't count that fast.
There he is. Look at him there with his
With a little two-toed.
Two
sloth.
toes.
And, I think this is Jazz. This is the other one. They like him because he has hair that's very similar to a Republican presidential candidate, with kind of a comb over
There you
on
go. There you go. Hey, Doc's loosening up as we get to the 10-minute mark on the show. Yeah, but these animals here are so unique. And, I don't know anybody else that gets the opportunity to work on these animals. Do you?
Oh no! To get as close as I do these animals and
What a
not be an employee of the garden is just
Right?
It's
You go in
amazing.
there with a pith helmet and a safari jacket?
I go in there as humbly as I can, so they'll keep asking me back.
And they
That's it.
will. And of course they will. Becky, is that all the photos? Oh, no, here we go.
Oh, this is Kana. Kana, they called me and said we needed to look at one of our Siberian 14-year-old females. She's one of the old girls over there. She wasn't eating. She was being a little particular about her eating, and as it turned out, she had fractured one of her fangs, her canine tooth, and they could see that they couldn't tell if the nerve was exposed or not. And on the day we were to work on her, the anesthesia was being a little dicey, as is with some of these big cats. And so I went to see her out in the field where her enclosure is. And when I got there, they would really realize that we couldn't keep her under any longer. So as I walked in, I said, "How much time do I have?" They said, "You have 90 seconds." I said, "I need 60 seconds." And it was like a Tom Brady, 1-minute drill to get in there. And as it turned out, that the fracture, although it looks pretty bad in the picture, was not into the nerve. We were able to desensitize it, protect it with some dental bonding very quickly, and change the temperature of the food they were giving her. So instead of giving her cold food, like you would bother, everyone's had a cold, sensitive tooth, and that she was fine since then. And I don't think we'll have to do any further work on her, which is good because the anesthesia on her is a little bit tricky.
Oh, she's probably what, about 600-700 pounds?
I think she's right at 600 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big cat. That's
a
big cat.
Yeah.
I mean,
not one you want on the back of your sofa.
No. Well, I saw this on a clip on YouTube, and I think it was one from National Geographic speaking about cats. And we're cat people currently at the house. We love our cats, evidence that's all over our clothes and all over the tablecloth. Cats can jump up to, I think it's something like 6 times the length of their tail, or something like 10 times the length of their tail, jump out and up as well. And they showed a clip of a tiger coming out of the tall grass in India and attacking, probably defending himself more so than just defending his territory. There was an Indian on top of an elephant. So what's that, about 10 feet off the ground? This tiger leapt from about 30 feet away, and they stopped the action. They stopped it with the tiger about to take a swipe. He didn't cause any death. I think he hit the elephant and grazed the handler, the gentleman who was riding on top of the elephant. But tigers are amazing. Big cats, more than anything else I'm fond of, just because of their grace, their strength, their power, their beauty. You see it up close when you've got that tiger in your hands, and then that bite.
Well, my experience with tiger, I'll give you the very first tiger I worked on, Shane at the Lowry Park Zoo. Humans v. tiger in enclosures, humans 0, tigers undefeated. And when you anesthetize these animals for the first time, there's a sedation that goes through with the dart, typically, if the animals don't present. And in Shane, they darted him and didn't seem to faze him at all. And I said, "Well, what's happening?" And this is my first time. This is my first animal. And they said, "He'll go down." And Shane didn't go down, and Shane didn't go. I think we have to dart him again. So they darted him again, and pretty soon Shane goes down, but he's not near the door of the enclosure. He's in the back corner. And I want him by the door because we have to set up some equipment. And I said, and so as the veterinarian was setting up the anesthesia, he's just sedated, darted, not anesthetized. And I said, "I need him by the door." They said, "Okay, you drag him over here." So I said, "Okay." And then so I stood over Shane, and I was straddling him, and I kind of grabbed him by the back of his neck, and as I lifted him up, he stood up between my legs.
Check, please.
I didn't say a word, but I had that look that probably said, "Oh my." And the vet said, "Just stay there. He'll go right back down." And I thought,
how uncomfortable was that?
Really uncomfortable for that few minutes because I knew the score. Yeah. And I said,
and he's right between your legs.
And he's between my legs, and I thought, well, at least I'm behind him.
Yeah.
But that was, and he went down, and we worked on him quite nicely after that.
And that was your first go?
Very first go.
Wow. I can only imagine. But again, when you're dealing with animals that need this kind of help, and you're providing this wonderful service for them, they can't thank you, but then when you go back the next time and you see that they've recaptured their health, they're vibrant again, they're eating again,
The payoff I get each and every time is when I send my follow-up report with my question, how was the post-op recovery? And I get nothing but glowing reports that they're doing well, eating well. I said, "It's great." And they resolve. From we've taken care of impalas that are velt animals with abscess teeth who stop eating, abscesses clear up, they go back to eating. Kudus with fractured mandibles and fractured jaws go back to eating, and we get them back to, if they're eating again, then I know that they're okay, because that's how the animal world is. If they're not okay, they'll stop eating.
Okay, so when they go off the feed, that's typically a sign that
Yeah.
something is definitely not okay.
Something's not right.
Humans can be like that at the end of life as well. So, Doc, three things. Is there an upcoming event for you with the animals?
I'm scheduled for 2 animals this weekend. I have Lana, my little bush baby. She's due for her regular 3-month checkup and cleaning. And I have a lemur with an abscess tooth. And they diagnosed the abscess on a routine exam. I got an email in the airport in Texas yesterday. It says, could you come over? And they sent me some x-rays. I said, yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to be there Sunday anyway, so we'll back-to-back them on Sunday.
So you get a little heads up ahead of time,
Right.
letting you know that this is in the offing.
Yes.
If you can clear your
And,
schedule.
and there are certain things we'll schedule in advance, particularly knockdowns on big animals, like the big cat. We know there's a knockdown.
2 minutes to go. Gosh, Doc. Okay, well, I'll go to the third question. I know it's gone so fast.
Quickly.
See how I told you?
Yeah.
It plays like 35 minutes. People will sit in that seat and they go, I got to talk for an hour? It goes like this. And when you have a fascinating topic just like this, it's just, and we can tell, the juices start to flow. Will you come back and do it again?
Yes. Thank you.
Come back and do this
Yes.
again. You know, we'll wait a little bit of time so you can have some more fabulous pictures and accumulate some of the family shots as well. You growing up in Seminole Heights, you with your pals, you on your Stingray bicycle, you in the neighborhood, those kinds of things.
I don't know about that.
You at Huddle's Corner. I know you used to go there.
Well, as a friend of mine told me once, he said, God has blessed me in many things, and one of the things he's given me is a bad memory. I have forgotten
And that's a good thing.
I have forgotten an awful lot.
That's a good thing. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that immediately following this show, if you switch over to 638, you'll catch last week's show with Jack Espinosa. And if you go to, that's on Bright House, and if you go to 36 on Verizon, you can also catch last week's show. Next week's show will be a replay of Thanksgiving in Tampa. Don't miss that. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Dr. Bill, what a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Mario. Thank you so much.
What an absolute pleasure. This is what we do here at the Tampa Native Show. And we hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, because we surely have. Leslie, we'll be sending your shirt home with your dad. Don't worry about that. Let's get a shot of the booth, guys. Real quick shot of the booth. There's our 15-minute girl. Sally, wave. There's Becky, wave. Everybody, thanks so much. Bring it back here, and we'll just say on behalf of everybody that puts this show together, and you just saw them, and of course Erica Hudnell, who helps us as well. We just like to say thank you for watching. Happy Thanksgiving. This is Dr. Bill Geyer. I'm Mario Nunez. Salud.
Salud.
And happy days. We love you, Tampa, and we'll see you real soon. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Thanks,
Happy
Dr. Bill.
Thanksgiving.
All right, so we coming back tomorrow because we don't have a closing? Is that what I'm hearing in my ear? This, ladies and gentlemen, is live TV. So if you just tell me back how long I got to go, I don't mind telling you how long I will go. Got about a minute? All right, about a minute. So, Doc, typically we have a closing credits at the end of the show. Tonight we don't have it. So anything you'd like to say to your adoring fans out there, your family, your friends that are watching? I'll let you take it home. Go ahead, Doc.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you, everyone here, for inviting me tonight. This is probably more fun than I thought I was going to have, and I look forward to coming back again. Thank you to my wonderful staff, all the ladies back at the office, my wife of 38 years, my children. Thank you very much. You are who make me who I am each and every day, along with patients like Mario and the wonderful families I get to care for, and the animals I get the privilege of caring for too.
And I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Dr. Geyer. Growing up in Tampa, special?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No place like Tampa.
No place like Tampa. I think of that every Sunday when I kneel in Sacred Heart Church, because I said, being raised by my devout Catholic mother, I am a world-class kneeler, and I still have to go to the same pew I went to as a kid.
There you have it, Tampa Native Show fans. We'll see you again next week. Happy Thanksgiving.